both in Lublin Conference Center and also on YouTube for those who watch our conference. If you know that there's somebody who was not able to be here, tell them that they can go to YouTube channel and they can stay with us all day long, listening to lectures and panel discussions we have prepared for you. European funds for 2021-2027 for Lublin. Today we're talking about effective education, which is a chance for success in a labor market. We'll be focusing on those European funds that contribute to strengthening vocational education and activation of young people. We extend a very warm welcome to those of you who've joined us, organizers and guests. And we've got Jarosław Stawiarski, Marshal of Lublin Voivodeship. Hello and welcome. With us, we've got Sylwia Kowalczyk, representative of the Ministry of Funds and Regional Policy, Chief Specialist in the Department of Labor and Social Inclusion. Greetings to you. And online we'll have Aneta Sobotka, Program Manager in the Department for Poland, Czech Republic and Slovakia in the General Directorate for Employment, Social Affairs and Inclusion of the European Commission. Kudos to you and a round of applause. A very warm welcome to European Funds team from the Marshal's Office of Lublin Voivodeship, but also to Voivodeship Labour Office. I would like to welcome Anna Brzyska, Director of the Department of Management of Regional Programs at Marshal's Office of the Lublin Voivodeship. Very warm welcome to you. And the Director of Voivodeship Labour Office in Lublin, Tomasz Pitucha. Warm greetings to you, and a combined team that has prepared this conference for you. We extend a very warm welcome to the team and all the employees, and a round of applause for them. Very warm welcome to Szczepan Brzegowski, the Starosta of Radzin. Magdalena Zabłocka, Acting Director for Program Affairs of the Chamber of Crafts and Entrepreneurship in Lublin, the member of the Permanent Working Team for Labour and Market Deployment, Remuneration and Social Benefits of the Voivodeship Council for Social Dialogue of Lublin Voivodeship. A very warm welcome goes to Mirosław Górczyński, Chairman of the Lublin Provincial Board of the Free Trade Unions around the world, the Forum of Trade Unions. Jacek Paprota, Director of Lublin Project Department of Lublin Development Foundation, Chairman of the Working Group of Financial Instruments of the European Funds Monitoring Committee for European Funds for Lublin. We have Dr. Ewelina Iwanek, President of Management Board, Director General of AC Poland Academy Foundation. And we'll have Małgorzata Mędrek-Urban, Principal of Vocational Schools in Lublin. The experts will be joining us later on. Anna Mazur-Sokół, the advisor of the Careers Office of Lublin University of Technology. A very warm welcome. Dr. Sławomir Sołtys, Deputy Director of the Department for Implementation of the European Social Fund at the Marshal's Office of the Lublin Voivodeship. A very warm welcome to you, sir. We would like to welcome the participants in online mode and the Marshal of Lublin Voivodeship, Mr. Marcin Szewczak. Kudos. Allow me to welcome all the other guests later on. Now, facts and figures. These are very important stats. Lots of facts and figures in the conference. Only two facts. Under the Social Fund Plus program, a considerable amount of over 2.43 billion euros is being implemented with specific allocations for priority number 9, that is meeting the needs of the labor market. We have 998 million zlotys and priority 10, 805 million Polish zlotys. We'll be speaking about these funds, but not only. And now the Marshal of Voivodeship, Mr. Jarosław Stawiarski, who will open the conference. Hello and everyone. One remark. 700 million euros, 3 billion Polish zlotys in FS+. But Director Brzeska's colleagues might have missed the data. It's 700 million euros, which, no, it was not a problem.
Zobaczcie, uderz
You
w stół,
see,
nożyce
hit
się
the table
odezwą.
and
Ja tutaj chronię pana
I'm
przewodniczącego,
trying to
pana
protect
prowadzącego,
the MC,
że to urzędnicy, bo kto
saying
może zawinić? No
that,
urzędnik, no
the
urzędnik.
clerks are to blame.
Nie ten, który jest z zewnątrz, tylko
Not
urzędnik.
the external
Kochani,
one,
ale
but the
większość z nas
clerks.
jest urzędnikami.
Most of us are
Wszyscy
officials and
jesteśmy
clerks,
po to, żeby
and
te
we are
pieniądze
here
jak
for
najszybciej wydawać.
to spend the money as fast as
dla
possible.
naszej lubelskiej telewizji.
I was interviewed by Lublin Television, and I said it is our role to spend the money as quickly as possible. We dispose the money of the European Social Fund to benefit our society and our needs, to satisfy their needs quickly and swiftly. And we might catch up with societies that are theoretically role models for us when it comes to social services and social functioning, the old European Union societies. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been brought together at the conference to wrap up the implementation of European funds for Lublin region in FS+. For all of us, these funds offer the possibility to change the environment, to change the way we function as a society, as people who have different needs, people who have different problems, people who want to be empowered. European Agricultural Fund and European Social Fund serve the purpose of empowerment, helping, subsidiarity and aiding. European Social Fund offers various activities and measures. I'm looking at the Deputy President of the Labour Office, so it's targeted to labour market to make people look for employment in an active way. It's subsidiarity, it's help. Policy 4 objective in European funds. Europe with strongest social dimension. The challenges formulated therein relate to adaptivity of enterprises, employers and employees to the changes in the labour market, boosting the level of skills, social qualifications, health qualifications of the society, reducing poverty and social exclusion, and so on and so forth. This program that is evaluated today was accepted over 2 years ago, and the funds that we all know about amount to 700 million euros. Since the beginning of the program, Implementation Department for the implementation of the European Social Fund and the Voivodeship Labour Office in Lublin have announced the total of 58 calls for proposals for the total amount. This is considerable amount of money, 1.6 billion Polish zlotys. At the moment, we have signed 600 agreements, 578 for the total amounts of 1.2 billion zlotys, with the European Union support over 1 billion Polish zlotys. This accounts for 34% of allocations of the European Social Fund, so we can say that we have 1/3 of the fund available here. It's already been transferred to the beneficiaries, and it's a working capital. Facts and figure. We have provided support for 680 unemployed people in social and employment support. 1.5 thousand people have benefited from social services provided by local communities in the place where they live. Thanks to the projects in the area of the labour market, over 14,000 unemployed people have received assistance in finding that new employment. Nearly 2,000 people have received non-repayable support to start their own businesses. It is worth adding that so far we have provided help and assistance to 913 refugees from Ukraine. I know that some of you, collaborators, colleagues, people who live in the place where you live, question things related to Ukraine. But let's remember one thing. There's a short explanation to all doubts. as long as Ukrainians are fighting, as long as Ukrainians are fighting with Russians, with Muscovites, this is our duty to support them. When they stop fighting, some things should be reconsidered. One thing is worth remembering. Only recently I had this kind of reflection. I was wondering what happens if we had bombs here and missiles flying above us. We would experience different reality, different perspective. Believe me, if there are people who doubt, please refer them to the fact that there are buildings that are destroyed, the alarms, they have to go to shelters, permanent fear. We don't have it. Be patient. Ukrainians should be helped through this program because they are our allies. History is very important. Things related to Volhynian massacre, the massacre in eastern Lesser Poland are very important that need remembering. And we need to settle the things after the war between Russia and Ukraine ends. But for the time being, let us be patient. What else in the scope? Educational projects, support for skills development goes to 38,000 people. These are pupils of schools and educational institutions. They are in general education, plus 12,500 students of vocational schools. 5,600 students will take part in internships, gaining practical professional experience. There is a very important element. These are the activities to develop administrative capacity of social partners and civic society organizations in the Lublin Voivodeship. So far, 5 calls of proposals were announced for this group. These are social inclusions and education domains. In this respect, 13 agreements were signed for co-financing. The total amount of the European Union contribution exceeding 17 million Polish zlotys, which is 61.25% of utilization of allocations for these calls of proposals. The effects of this project will significantly affect Lublin Voivodeship, contributing to improving the quality of education, increasing the competences of residents, and strengthening the local labor market. The implementation of numerous initiatives will not only enable the professional development of many people, but also better preparation for contemporary challenges of the labor market. Ladies and gentlemen, regarding European Union funds for Lublin region under FS Plus program, the most important thing, as I said, is the human that is in the center of our interest, and all these programs have been created for people. As I said at the beginning, to empower people, to make people in the center. We don't do it for ourselves, we do it for other people. And let's remember that this is a decoy beacon. Man is most important. Man is in the center of attention. This should be a guiding motive for us. We have created the programs, but when delivering the programs, remember about this mission. Because the implementation is in your hands, and this is my wish to you. Deliver it according to the motto, human in the center of our interest. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Marshal. And we are moving to Brussels, the capital of European funds. We get connected to Aneta Sobotka, Program Manager at the Department for Poland, Czech Republic and Slovakia and the Director General for Employment, Social Affairs and Inclusion of the European Commission. I hope you can hear us. Hello and welcome cordially. Can we hear each other? Yes, I can hear you. I hope you can hear me too. And over to you. Good afternoon. I'm very pleased to welcome you. I work at the European Commission in the department dealing with the implementation of European Social Funds Plus in Poland. I'm the program supervisor under the name of European Funds for Lublin, and I also deal with projects related to education and skills. Thanks to Marshal's office for inviting me for today's conference. The European Funds Programme for Lublin supports many projects in the field of education, creating opportunities for development of children, young people and adults. Probably Director Brzyska will tell you in great details about each and every one of them. I'd like to emphasize the European aspect of the programme because the programme contributes to the implementation of EU initiatives in the area of education, just like ALMA, aim high, learn, achieve, master, realize goals. This initiative enables young people aged 18 to 29 who are not employed, not in education or training system, to gain work experience abroad. And this will support their professional and personal development in the future as well as development of skills. The European Funds Programme for Lublin includes another initiative, Upskilling Pathways, Paths to Improving Skills. This measure supports adults with low literacy skills. This is very important because without basic skills, improvement of professional qualifications or retraining becomes very difficult. Soon, we'll have many more initiatives in upskilling domain. The new European Commission started their work. They will be in office 2024-2029, and they will set out a detailed action plan. Nevertheless, we know from previously published political guidelines that there is a Commission's priority, namely increasing competitiveness of European Union's economy on a global scale. For this reason, investments in education, human capital and skills development and reducing the skills gap will play a particularly important role. Therefore, there will be a new initiative, Skills Union. The Commission will support action plans to retain skills in the European Union and the recognition of different types of trainings between EU member states, so that EU citizens can work anywhere in the territory of the European Union. The new Commission's plans also include a proposal to develop European strategy for vocational training and apprenticeship to best prepare EU citizens for the needs of the labour market and equip them with skills that are both currently needed and will be sought after in the future from employees. Another priority, increasing adults' participation in lifelong learning. Poland, unfortunately, is far from EU target for 2030 of at least 60% of adults participating in educational system in lifelong training. So this area still requires great support. I won't be able to stay with you until the end of today's session. I'll watch the discussion and proceedings later on. Nonetheless, I'd like to wish you an exchange of experiences, inspirations, and take up further initiatives and create further projects that will support the development of education and skills development in Voivodeship. Thank you very much. And many thanks from us too. Ladies and gentlemen, what lies ahead? There are two panels ahead of us. The first will focus on the role of vocational and continuation of education as a foundation for regions' development. The second panel will be devoted to professional development of young people, which is the key to entering the labour market in an effective way. Before that, the floor will be given to Anna Brzyska, Director of the Department of Regional Programme Management of the Marshal's Office at the Lublin Voivodeship. Presentation of European Funds for Lublin 2021. Support for education. These will be very good numbers, not like mine. Hello, a warm welcome to all of you. First of all, I would like to thank you very much for the fact that there is a full house, for not letting us down on that very day, and you've joined the conference. I can see that there are chairs put in, which makes me even more happy. Thank you very much for coming. Ladies and gentlemen, actually we are starting with numbers to explain what actions and what measures have been taken and what we want to do when it comes to European funds for Lublin. Specifically, today, we speak about European Social Fund Plus. Our program, as you know, consists of two funds, and the two funds have been allocated 2,431,957,819 euros. Almost 29% has been earmarked to one fund, the European Social Fund Plus. This fund is implemented by the Department for the Implementation of Social Funds. This absorbs and spends almost 20% of the funds that have been allocated to social fund and carries out 14 activities in 3 priorities. Priority 8, social cohesion, 9th, also to a certain extent, that is the labor market, and the entire 10th, that is education. 90% plus, 9.14%. Here are the activities for intermediary institutions, that is Voivodeship Labour Office. The Voivodeship Labour Office implements 9 activities into priorities. Priority 8 and priority 9, that is the labour market priority. As far as the announcement of calls for European funds for Lublin region, by the end of November, within the scope of whole program, we opened 142 calls for nearly 7 billion Polish zlotys. So this is more than half of the program, that is the majority. So these allocations have already been announced. Next year, we plan to announce 47 calls for more than 2.5 billion Polish zlotys. When it comes to social fund, as Marshall has already mentioned, we have complemented 58 calls for proposals for over 1.5 billion in EU funding. And we have planned, and the schedule is available and approved by the board on the 29th of November, within the scope of FS. There'll be 22 calls for over 600 million Polish zlotys. So what does it look like in the context of entire program? When it comes to the number of announced calls for specific priorities, the greatest number belong to priority 8, that is social cohesion, social activation, health, social services, family support, foster care, socio-economic integration. 21 calls for proposals for 45% of allocations require mentioning that this is the priority that uses the largest financial allocation of 260 million euros. A great interest belongs to priority 10, that is education. We have opened 20 calls for 66% of allocations. The allocation for this priority amounts to 185 million euros. And priority 9, a very difficult one, the labour market. 14 calls for proposals for 45% of allocations, and the allocation is also significant, 230 million euros. When it comes to the general amount we have opened call for proposals for in European funds for Lublin, as it was mentioned before, in percentage, this is 62% of the allocation in the program. Let's speak about contracts. And I will emphasize the FS agreements. We have signed 906 contracts as of 30th of November. We'll reach 1,000 by the end of December, I believe. The allocation amount for 906 contracts within all the programs amounts to 3,700 million zlotys. Speaking about social fund, let me repeat, 578 contracts, quite a lot, because small allocations with a great number of contracts. They exceed 1 billion of EU funds, over 34% of allocations for social funds, FRR, fewer contracts, 328 contracts, and allocation comparable, 35%. As I mentioned previously, and shown on the previous slide, we signed the greatest number of contracts in 10th priority, namely 324. Then, labour market, 128, social cohesion, 119. Let's have a look at the comparison versus the whole country in this ranking in the number of contracts signed. In terms of the contracts signed, we are ranked first among 16 provinces. We can see the voivodeships that have 142, 118, 179, and so on and so forth. We keep the pace, and I promise, it goes to the Marshal, we'll keep on working like this. Let's move on to payments applications, that is the actual transfer and settlement, because signing of a contract sets the beginning. But once the contract is signed, the actual implementation starts, and this is the actual transfer of funds and then settlement. Ladies and gentlemen, in total, we have approved 2,200 applications in the program. The total amount, 351 million EU funding. Additionally, throughout the program, we paid out 756 million in advances to beneficiaries. We have implemented an advance payment system to make it easier for the beneficiaries to deliver the investments. We advance the funds to the beneficiary when they present an invoice. We paid and they settled the advance. As regards the European Social Fund, we have approved 1.4 thousand applications for funds, the total of 200 million EU contribution, which constitutes 6.55% of advances, and we paid 238 million in social fund. So, in total, beneficiaries who have signed contracts and have already started implementing projects, because there needs to be a basis to pay the advance, they account for 372 million zlotys, which is 12.28% of allocations for Social Fund Plus. So let's look at the rankings when it comes to the number of approved payments. Nothing has changed here. We are ranked first. We can see a significant difference compared with our neighbor, that is Podkarpackie Voivodeship. We have settled 2,174 applications, Podkarpackie 1,163, Opole 215. Our hard is work, but enjoyable. Certification. The managing authority submitted 5 payment applications to the European Commission for the total amount of eligible expenditures, because we transfer the applications with your contributions. For the total amount, 823,565,783.34 million zlotys, which makes 161,139,186 euro. Ladies and gentlemen, this amounts to over 6.6 allocations for the program. So the certified amount, 123 million, is a very high amount. This made it possible for us to submit applications to the European Commission to pay out European funds. And the amount is 161 million 139,186.47, which amounts to over 700 million zlotys. And now let's see how we present ourselves in certification compared to other parts of the country.
I tutaj również, jeżeli chodzi o zawnioskowaną do Komisji Europejskiej, bo to jest najważniejsze, żeby zawnioskować, najpierw trzeba zrealizować i rozliczyć się z beneficjentami. Czyli rozliczyliśmy się z beneficjentami na kwotę ponad 800 milionów złotych.
And we requested the payment, that is 85% on this basis, which amounts to 161 million euros, over 700 million zlotys. And we are also ranked at the top. We can see Lower Silesia behind us, but we stick to the first place. How about the implementation? And the contracts that were signed, and social fund delivery in Lublin province. I have divided this into priorities to make it easier and to give you a visual presentation. Social cohesion, priority 8, 119 agreements signed in each district. There are agreements, but one important thing, 48 agreements are implemented by foundations, associations and NGOs, and this is done in all districts, all powiats. So this number is added to particular counties. Most contracts are delivered in Lublin district, which is quite obvious. And the question of examples, exemplary projects that are being implemented in priority 8. There is a strategic project of creating integration center for third country citizens, including migrants, into Lublin Voivodeship. This project is implemented by a unit of Lublin Voivodeship. This is the Regional Center for Social Policy in Lublin. Such an integration center has been already established in 4 cities. The center is located in Lublin, and we have 3 points in Puławy, Zamość and Biała Podlaska. The center renders support to people fleeing from Ukraine. The center's task is to prepare activation, training, vocational courses, Polish language learning, integration workshop, childcare, preparation of families to enter the labor market.
I już takie osoby po dyskusjach z panią dyrektor ROPS-u, z panią dyrektor
were the subject of discussions with Mrs. Romanko, the director of ROPS. These people have been given psychological counseling, they leave the integration center and they start working on their own. Of course, they can always return to the center to get some help. Now, 49 people were covered with support. It will have been 350 by the end of the year, 1,500 at the end of the day. This is a very interesting project. Another project delivered by the Regional Social Policy Center in Lublin. This is Senior Policy. Ladies and gentlemen, the Regional Center and 36 communes from Lublin Voivodeship have implemented a project aimed at improving access to social and health services for almost 7,000 seniors. This is the project provision. First of all, seniors can apply for assistance services, neighborhood services, legal counseling, psychological counseling. The project has proven to be very popular and it will see the continuation. We have a photo which depicts the monitoring committee on a business trip to Zamość. We were in Zamość. In the photo, there is European Commission representative. She and the seniors are integrating. They are practicing jiu-jitsu. No, it was karate. They do it together in the classes with seniors, and the classes were a part of the project. Some other examples of effects of activities until now, because the conference focuses on the results. What have we received? What have we attained?
jeżeli chodzi o 8.1 i 8.2, prawie 700 osób niezatrudnionych, czyli osób bezrobotnych, biernych zawodowo, objęliśmy wsparcie w programie, czyli już ich rozliczyliśmy. Jeżeli chodzi o 8.3 integrację społeczną, 368 osób jest rozliczonych.
Number of applications have been settled.
8.4
social economic integration of marginalized communities in accordance with the contracts. We plan to provide services to 714 people belonging to minorities, including marginalized communities such as Roma. 8.5, 8.6. These activities are very much needed, and there is a huge interest from you. Almost 1,500 people were provided support. Activity 8.8 and 8.9. These measures are pretty difficult yet very much necessary. We support families in difficult situations, family support, foster care, social integration of people in need of greatest help. Over 1,000 people, we have settled the payment applications here, so we have settled the support costs. Priority 9, the labor market. As far as the labor market is concerned, we signed 128 agreements, and there is a map of our province showing the distribution over individual counties. 64 contracts have been implemented throughout Lublin Voivodeship. Generally speaking, I would like to emphasize the fact that there is not a single situation that some county applied significantly less or gets less money. Both priority 8 and 9 have quite equal distribution of support. When it comes to labor market and the projects that are important to us, as well as the projects that are being implemented at the moment. First of all, this is 9.8 professional activation program. It pertains to voivodeship work officers. There is an intermediary institution that settles the projects with Lublin Voivodeship work officers. The main goal is to support young people aged 15 to 29. This project is very difficult. We planned to cover 100 people, despite the fact that the project is only 3 million zlotys. These are very difficult people, difficult young people. So we have intensified activities, and we included diversity of things like workshop, classes, internships, psychological support, professional internships, work experiences. This project also serves supporting young people who are in difficult life situation. You can describe it, because not only do we speak about labor market, but about life situation. They are people starting age of 15. And ALMA project that Aneta Sobotka mentioned, an important project that is targeted at people 18 to 29. They are the people that are in the need group. They are in a difficult labor market situation. It's part of ALMA initiative. They are the people who do not work, do not learn. They are not active. They do not gain any trainings. So they are 3 times no. Ladies and gentlemen, recruitment meant 5 contracts for the amount of 10+ million Polish zlotys and will support 208 people. We are at the beginning of this project. As regards priority 9, stats, facts and figures in context of settled payments. Measure 9.1, District Labor Offices. I would like to express my gratitude that goes to the Director of Municipal Employment Office in Lublin. We have allocated the greatest funds into this institution. I would like to thank for this initiative, for the approach and attitude, innovative implementation of the project in the context of all district labor offices. Thank you very much, Director. Measure 9.2, Professional Activation. 9.5, also. We have implemented the following indices. Almost 1,000 people, namely 1,813 people unemployed, including long-term unemployed people who are covered by the support in the program. At the moment, 1.4 thousand people have already received non-refundable support for starting professional activity in the program. And this is not easy to provide long-term unemployed person with funds to start a business. So kudos to district labor offices and the director for preparing these people, giving them training, handing over, monitoring of the implementation. It's very difficult. 110 people were included in these activities. They were granted temporary protection because of the war in Ukraine. People who arrived here, registered or not, but they were given support within the scope of the project, and they left to other province or another country. Labor market institutions, 9.3. 28 employees of labor market institutions were provided support. 9.4, sustained labor market. We have long-term unemployed people that were covered with this activity. Measure 9.5, protection of working environment. This is a very important measure for all the people who already work and for the employers and entrepreneurs. We have these activities and measures that can cover employee who is in a difficult situation, be it emotional, be it professional burnout. We can give them trainings. We can finance rehabilitation of such employees. In the context of contracts that were signed and payment application settlements, 2,000 people have already been covered in the health area. When it comes to adaptability of employees and employers to the changes, that is, trainings targeted at employers, employees, or employers' initiatives. We have 382 employees of micro and small and medium-sized companies that were covered this service. 9.6, this is the employers' initiative. 10.6, employees' initiative. And this pertains to the development services database. It's my self-correction. Priority 10, with the greatest number of contracts, which means the greatest interest. 324 contracts were signed. 31 contracts are being implemented throughout Lublin province at the moment. I'd like to highlight the fact that there are some very important projects. These are systemic or strategic projects. The one that I'm going to present is a systemic one, because it can be implemented by local government institutions that can apply for it, or also the ones that are responsible for schools. And 8 graders examinations are lower than the provincial average, that is 64%. So only the governing bodies can apply for this program. In our voivodeship, it does not look good. The average when it comes to primary school knowledge of English is 64%. There are 515 schools of this kind in our province. So it was one of the first activities, and we signed contracts. There were 36 contracts, 76 schools were supported, which means over 1,000 pupils that benefit from English language classes. When I talked to the beneficiaries, I learned that pupils, that is, the beneficiaries, are very satisfied. We shall continue this activity to equalize the chances. Speaking about labor market, what is here? Okay. That's okay when it comes to presentation. One thing that needs highlighting, trainings for adults, lifelong learning. We have separated this into two measures. One measure, 9.6, adaptive employers and employees to embrace changes. Trainings that are targeted at employees, people who are self-employed, that is, they run their own business, but also at people who are full-time employed in managerial positions. These services are of training nature. We have the so-called demand system based on the development on services database. The Marshal's office has signed an agreement with the Polish Agency for Enterprise Development when it comes to the development services databases trainings offered. If you run a company or an enterprise and you identify competence gaps in yourselves, in your employees, you can apply to 3 operators, or one of 3 operators, better to say. These are the operators that have applied. Development of Social Activity Triada. If our company is located in Bielsk or Chełm-Zamość district, there is Lublin Science and Technology Park, Lublin Subregion. Alternatively, Lublin Development Foundation. You file in your application. The operator verifies the type of training you are looking for in the development services database, be it postgraduate studies. You submit documents, you are verified because they need to settle accounts with us. And you can benefit from the trainings. The situation is as follows. You have to pay for the training and you get a refund from us. This is the so-called demand system. So this is the employer who presents a group of people who need to bridge competence gap. The second option, measure 10.6, and here we have lifelong adult learning. However, the situation is slightly different because the employee does not have to inform their employer that they want to take advantage of the training. For example, an employee wants to switch jobs and change company or change qualifications, or this person is unemployed. So no matter what the status is in the labor market, I can file my application to one of the 3 operators, Lublin Development Foundation, Puławy Entrepreneurship Center, and Integron Plus Foundation. So there are 3 operators. I apply on individual basis and I inform that I need retraining. I undergo verification. Training is selected from the development services database. I have to pay for the training and I get a refund. So there are 2 variants, and I believe that these variants are adjusted for both groups. So feel invited. There is also the possibility to make use of the finances and, for driver's license. We had lots of questions. Postgraduate studies? Of course, yes. Professional qualifications? Yes. One or the other, 9.6 or 10.6. I can see representatives of operators present at this meeting. If you have any questions, you can ask them during the break. I'd like to emphasize the fact that there is priority number 10, and I'd like to highlight what is important for our province.
Projekty z zakresu programów stypendialnych
scholarship programs.
Realizujemy i będziemy realizować w tej
This perspective, I don't know how the next one, it was difficult to get funds for this when it comes to scholarships. But we got funds for scholarships for talented students who are in disadvantaged socio-economic situation. So there is a talented student, but they are in difficult socio-economic situation. In previous perspective, it was enough to have a talented one. We could finance a scholarship for them. In this perspective, there was no possibility of this type. But the committee agreed that we can use resources for talented students in difficult socio-economic situation. So we have 4 agreements in this respect, and they are implemented by the Department of Culture and Education, and there is also a division. We have a scholarship program for students of general secondary schools. As you can see, we have already provided support to 1,254 students, and there are 2 other contracts in place. They are implemented in vocational training for students and institutions, and support has been directed to 1,201 pupils. These people have already been allocated scholarships. We are going to have another round decision in December, and scholarships will be awarded to them. I'd like to emphasize a very important measure or activity that is happening at the moment in social fund scope. Priority 10. There is a new initiative. We agreed to have this initiative with European Commission. Local knowledge and education centers creation. What's the purpose? The purpose is to support adult education, but these are older people, or people with low qualifications, or people with disabilities. This activity serves the intergenerational change or exchange of knowledge, because local government can apply for the funds. The local center of knowledge and education must be an institution and needs to be affiliated with a school. So various types of classes, integration, education, together with the implementation of various activities by associations and rural women's circles. So these happen at the school premises. Now we are negotiating 12 applications with a total amount of 3.5 million Polish zlotys in funds. This will go to 2,500 people at the moment. This is a new activity, so we'll have to repeat it in order to use the allocations, a new one, but a very interesting one. Results, ladies and gentlemen. Effective education, 22 entities were covered with the support in order to increase the effectiveness of education system and training provision. Kindergarten education, 1 call for proposals, 39 subsidies. We have already planned the next one. I'm going to show you the schedule, and this pertains to kindergarten education. General education, more than 27,000 students were supported. Settlement of applications, vocational training, only recently have we signed the contract, like 2 months ago, but already 653 students were covered. Adults, 806 persons. This is the settlement of payments. And a few words about health. Speaking about health in social fund. The monitoring committee in health sector, and I'm a member of this, representing Lublin Voivodeship, has approved 4 action plans for social fund. In 2023, two action plans for 2024. And, ladies and gentlemen, no, sorry, it was 3 in 2024. And one more action plan for 2025. What action plans have been approved and what has been announced? The first action plan concerns soft projects in the context of establishment of Regional Center for Mental Health of Children and Youth. This project is being realized. I'll tell you more about this. It is settled by Social Fund Department and it is delivered by Neuropsychiatric Hospital. The other very important action plan that is already being implemented, the action plan concerns the development of regional health programs development in cardiovascular system diseases, cancers, nervous systems, metabolic diseases. So simply speaking, provincial occupational medical centers develop 4 prophylactic programs. These programs will be soon implemented and there'll be a separate call of proposal next year. Ladies and gentlemen, the Provincial Occupational Medicine Center has also won the competition to develop preventive programs in the field of rehabilitation. These are related to work environment, and the situation is similar. Once developed, they deliver. We have implemented rehabilitation projects facilitating return to work. We have approved the plan, the action plan for deinstitutionalization in adult psychiatry. Ladies and gentlemen, this recruitment has already been opened. Deinstitutionalization in long-term care, it will be announced in December. And the last committee on Monday, the last monitoring committee on Monday, accepted the criteria for action plan covering the elimination of health risk factors occurring in workplace. This will be announced in January. Speaking about the whole of activities that are being targeted at support, this is 85 million zlotys for support. Honestly speaking, there's been a great interest. A few words about the Regional Center for Mental Health. The Regional Mental Health Center is divided into 2 pillars. One pillar is delivered by Social Fund. This is staff preparation to deliver the tasks. And then continuation of the Mental Health Center, headquartered in the new pavilion that is being built. It will be a part of Neuropsychiatric Hospital, but there'll be branches of Regional Mental Health Center in Chem, Cholewianka, Radecznica and Suchowola. There is an expansion at the Neuropsychiatric Hospital. Speaking about Social Fund program, we have signed agreements with 300 schools throughout Lublin province, and there'll be so-called intervention and response points. As a part of these agreements, we'll train 500 people, psychiatrists, psychotherapists, psychologists, teachers, caregivers, or even parents. We will prepare them to collaborate with pupils and students so that they can carry out diagnosis, respond quickly, and transfer such a child or a pupil to the Regional Mental Health Center. So these will be intervention points. these intervention points will deliver these objectives. Let me emphasize something that you already know. The percentage of children's population in our voivodeships that demonstrate mental problems has reached already 20%. Until recently it was 20%. Now it has exceeded 20%. Briefly speaking about administrative capability building of social partners and civic society when it comes to European funds for Lublin Voivodeship. Our program, just like any other program, is exceptional because we have the greatest allocation for financing capabilities of social partners and civil society organizations. We have allocated 1% in FS+, which amounts to over 6,753,000 euro. This is the plan to increase by 2 million plus, having discussed it with the social partners and civic society organizations. I'd like to emphasize the fact that all the projects of social partners and civic society organizations are implemented in accordance with the priorities schemes. These are investment projects. The partners don't do things that are in detachment from programs. They deliver the program goals, and this fulfillment of program objectives is very important. We have already said the number of contracts signed in activities for partners. I know that there are 2 contracts have been selected for financing, so in total we'll have 15 contracts as of today, with 20 million in funding. Ladies and gentlemen, we also plan to announce another call for proposals as soon as possible. In April, measure 8.1 type 5 and 6, 5.5 million Polish zlotys in total. January announcement 9.3, support for labor market institutions. 10.2 kindergarten education, we plan to announce this next year. April, general education. 10.4 vocational education, also to be announced next year. 2 words about support for Ukrainian refugees and third countries nationals. 8.3 is the main measure, socio-economic integration of third-party nationals. This measure has been dedicated for this group of people. I'd like to emphasize the fact that we have consulted this with Ukraine's General Consulate when it comes to the activities types, and what we should emphasize when forecasting and designing the program. I'd like to emphasize the fact that people that is refugees from Ukraine can benefit from all forms of support the same way Polish citizens are supported. They use all support forms, whatever is earmarked in the project. Pre-high school education, preschool education. When we have to provide services for them, we create jobs. The same applies to general schools. There are also preference points. For example, if 30% of the project pertains to the group of refugees from Ukraine. Generally, 3,000 people were covered under the contracts. The 3,000 people come from third countries. As it has already been said before, 110 people are people from Ukraine. These people were covered by the support under measure 9.1. Another very important thing, the territorial dimension, integrated territorial investments. I'd like to emphasize the fact that integrated territorial investments in this perspective are implemented to a large scale in our program because there are 17 strategies. There was just one in the previous perspective. ZIT means integrated territorial investments. 16 strategies were approved. There are also projects implemented in FRR. Speaking about social funds, there are 2 measures dedicated. Integrated territorial investments can be supported. Measure 8.7, social services, within the framework of this program, and 10.5, that is education. 10.5, we are still open for proposals until the 31st of January. 2 were placed, 10 are being prepared. They are dedicated funds in the context of 17 partnerships. If you have planned educational activities in their strategies, you can apply for the funds in this section. I'm about to finish because you might be bored with me. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to emphasize the fact that next year we'll have more call for proposals at this time. At the moment we have 22 in the pipeline with a total of 609 million Polish zlotys. As you can see, there'll be calls for proposals in December for health services. This means long-term care, and we'll open announcement. Next year, work environment protection, 10.3, 10.4, scholarships, 8.5, respite care and social centers, 8.8, foster care, support for the family, 9.1, municipal employment offices and district employment offices for conducting business activities. 9.3, support for labor market institutions. We support people, we support labor market institutions and all kinds of public and non-public labor market institutions. 8.1, support for disadvantaged groups of people, very difficult groups in the labor market. The Provincial Labour Office will announce call for proposals. 9.8, we are targeting young people, so labour camps. 10.3, we'll be building the capacities of civil society organizations and our partners. It is the non-public sector. We'll open a call for proposals in this respect. 10.6, adult and long life learning. Long life learning as such. 10.1, a new type that has not yet been announced. The new type will concern effective education, systemic support for career counseling. This means that you who collaborate with career advisors may make use of this program. If you want to give them training, if you want to create support systems, even for kindergartens or at schools. The career counseling program is very interesting, a big allocation, 17 million zlotys. 9.2, professional activation, kindergartens that were mentioned. 8.5, training and supported living places. 9.3, support for labour market institutions. 9.6, mentoring and career counseling. Placement carried out by Voivodeship Labour Office. This is support for people who are at risk of losing their jobs in a given workplace, as is the situation with some companies. I won't mention the names or the places where there are mass layoffs. Outplacement is designed for this. 10.6, adult learning. This is a kind of repetition of trainings which boost qualifications for operators in the development services base. 8.6 implementation of the 4 prophylactic programs which are being developed by the Voivodeship Occupational Medicine Center at the moment, and Labour Market Institution support repetition December 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an indicative plan, an indicative schedule. It can, of course, be altered, but the changes will be negligible. We normally add, we open more calls for proposals. Rarely do we remove something. And information context. Where can we find information? Nothing has changed. Feel invited to call in the Provincial Labour Office, LAFP, and I can be contacted in the institutions as well as in the information points. The main contact point is located in Stewczyka 3P. There are local points in Chełm and Zamość. We are always here to help you. Feel invited to collaborate with us and carry on implementing our programs. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Madam Director. And we have this information point here in the Lublin Conference Center. I'll tell you more about stalls that will be open for you during the coffee break. Now, the film review of our discussions till now. This is about European Social Fund Plus program in the film. High-quality education supporting available vocational education, facilitating career changes and professional mobility, promoting learning. These are the opportunities that European Union funds offer to young people today. We'll tell you about support for primary and secondary education. 13th August 2024, Lublin Voivodeship Board selected 44 projects for funding from the vocational training measure, which is implemented as support for vocational education in the region. The total value 132 million Polish zlotys. The total amount of funding from the European Union over 118 million Polish zlotys. Support for the European Funds Programme for Lublin Region 2021-2027 will enable not only the development of professional skills but also social and emotional competences. The latter are the key to building lasting career paths for students and teachers. Vocational education means investments in the future that will benefit both students and society as a whole. Vocational education plays a key role in preparing young people for the dynamically changing labour market. In the context of Lublin Voivodeship, support for financial schools from European funds is an excellent opportunity to strengthen cooperation between education and the sector of private companies. Increasing student competences in the areas of green transformation and digital competences is essential to meet the contemporary economic challenges. It is also very important to invest in teacher development and adapt education system to the needs of all students, including those with disabilities. The main assumptions of EU project, economy and work, this pays off. Call number 2. This is a 3-year project that we do again. About 4 million in value, 500,000 own contribution. The aim of the project targeted at the students of technical schools, economics, accounting and advertising domains. Includes classes for students, training courses on bookkeeping programs, accounting programs, VAT settlements, business management trainings. We are a uniform school, therefore there will be training designed to improve qualifications of students. New skills and new certificates will be provided for students. We focus on improvement. We plan to create a new computer lab where specialist programs will be purchased, such as Melin for professional tourism organization technicians, Horeca Idea for students who study as hotel technicians, which will make it possible to use software that normal travel agencies and hotels use. These trainings are first targeted at teachers and then at students. These will be licenses that are normally expensive, we cannot afford on a normal basis. The funds that we obtain make it possible to purchase modern equipment. We'll equip school workshops. The school has a huge, beautiful, modern building that accommodates school workshops, but what is missing is cutting-edge equipment in line with the preferences of labor market. Students will be able to participate in a variety of classes, sessions and trainings, practical and professional internships. The latter is most preferred by students because it provides the opportunity to check skills in real working conditions at companies and enterprises. In the second half of 2024, further distribution of EU funds in field of education are planned. This is the part of European funds for Lublin 2021 to 2027. Thanks to European funds for Lublin, we jointly develop a voivodeship, broadcast co-financed by the European Union. And this is the time to invite you for a coffee break. You are encouraged to use this time for talks and to look into 3 stands we have prepared. The first one, this is the information point of EU funds. You'll meet experts from implementation departments of all programs, as well as representatives of Voivodeship Labour Office. The other very interesting stall that is worth visiting before Christmas, the Voivodeship Labour Office. There is a beneficiaries expo stand of European funds, Elżbieta Gałas. She obtained funds to start her business and she produces and sells accessories for dogs and cats. These products stand out of the crowd because they are highly personalized. I recommend visiting this expo stand, and this is an excellent place to buy things as Christmas gifts. And one more beneficiary stall prepared by the Department of Implementation of the European Social Fund at the Marshal's Office. There are representatives of school complex John Paul II School in Radzyń Podlaski. You can become familiar with educational offer. Therefore, feel invited to enjoy a 15-minute break and 2 very interesting panels and further presentations. See you in a quarter of an hour.
Witamy Państwa bardzo serdecznie.
Welcome after the break.
Tych, którzy wciąż są z nami na YouTube.
Very warm welcome to those on YouTube. European Funds for Lublin. We are very glad that you are still watching with us. There were lots of facts and figures, but we are going to show you that these are specific lives, specific people, and funds and facts and figures change lives of specific people. Weronika Story, a pupil of vocational school number 2 in Ryki. In a short video presented in a moment, she'll be sharing her impressions on participating in two vocational courses that were carried out at her school thanks to European funds. Let's look at the film.
O projekcie z funduszy europejskich dowiedziałam się od szkolnego koordynatora. Po wypełnieniu odpowiednich dokumentacji dostałam się do projektu. Wzięłam udział w kursie księgowości Commerce Optima, który dostarczył mi ogromnych umiejętności z zakresu na przykład prowadzenia księgi przychodów i rozchodów, czy sporządzania deklaracji. Myślę, że posiadanie certyfikatu z takiego kursu na pewno będzie dodatkowym atutem